Across millennia, the shadow of Rome stretches long, a civilization whose monumental achievements and enduring legacy continue to captivate and instruct us. From its humble origins as a small Italian city-state, Rome expanded to govern an empire of unprecedented scale, shaping law, language, architecture, and governance for centuries to come. This journey will trace that extraordinary arc, from the legendary foundation of Rome to the dramatic fragmentation of its Western Empire, exploring the triumphs and tragedies that forged one of history's most influential powers. Our narrative begins not with recorded fact, but with a foundational myth that deeply informed Roman identity, the tale of Romulus and Remus. These twin brothers, abandoned as infants, were said to have been suckled by a she-wolf and later raised by a shepherd. Their destiny was to found a great city. A dispute over where to build it, and who would rule, tragically led Romulus to kill his brother Remus, establishing Rome on the Palatine Hill in 753 BCE. This violent genesis set a precedent for struggle and ambition. Following its legendary foundation, Rome was ruled by a succession of 7 kings for over 2 centuries. This early period, known as the Roman Kingdom, saw the city grow from a small settlement into a formidable regional power. Each monarch, from the legendary Romulus to the tyrannical Tarquin the Proud, contributed to Rome's early development, establishing its religious institutions, military organization, and foundational legal frameworks. They laid the groundwork for the city's eventual expansion, slowly building the infrastructure and social structures that would define early Rome. The rule of kings ended abruptly in 509 BCE with the expulsion of Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, Tarquin the Proud, whose tyrannical reign sparked a popular uprising. In its place, the Roman Republic was established, a revolutionary system designed to prevent the concentration of power in a single individual. 2 annually elected consuls shared executive authority, advised by the Senate, an assembly of elder statesmen. This new political structure, though initially aristocratic, gradually opened to common citizens, laying the foundation for Rome's immense growth. The early republic was marked by intense social struggle between the patricians, the wealthy aristocratic class, and the plebeians, the common citizens. Plebeians, despite forming the majority of the population and the army, initially lacked political rights. Their grievances led to several secessions of the plebs, where they withdrew from the city, effectively crippling Rome. This pressure forced the patricians to concede, leading to the creation of the tribunes of the plebs and the codification of laws, ensuring greater equality and stability. A pivotal moment in the plebeian struggle for rights was the creation of the Law of the 12 Tables around 450 BCE. Before this, laws were unwritten and interpreted by patrician priests, often to the disadvantage of common citizens. The 12 Tables codified Roman law, inscribing it on bronze tablets displayed publicly in the Forum. This provided transparency and a foundational legal framework, ensuring that all citizens, regardless of status, were subject to the same documented laws. It was a crucial step towards a more just and organized society. With internal stability gradually improving, Rome began its expansion across the Italian peninsula. Through a combination of relentless military campaigns, shrewd diplomacy, and the establishment of colonies, Rome gradually subdued its neighbors, the Latins, Etruscans, Samnites, and finally, the Greek city-states in the south. By the early 3rd century BCE, Rome had consolidated control over virtually all of Italy. This expansion created a disciplined army and a network of allies and citizens, providing the resources and manpower for even greater future conquests beyond its borders. Rome's mastery of Italy brought it into direct conflict with Carthage, a formidable naval and commercial power based in modern-day Tunisia. The rivalry over Sicily ignited the First Punic War, a prolonged and brutal struggle for control of the western Mediterranean. Rome, a land power, quickly learned to build and master a navy, eventually defeating Carthage and gaining Sicily. This victory marked Rome's emergence as a dominant force not just on land, but also at sea, setting the stage for even more profound conflicts. The Second Punic War, beginning in 218 BCE, saw one of history's most brilliant military commanders, Hannibal Barca of Carthage, launch a daring invasion of Italy. Traversing the Alps with elephants, he inflicted devastating defeats upon the Romans at battles like Cannae.
For over a decade, Hannibal ravaged the Italian countryside, yet Rome's resilience prevented a decisive collapse.
The sheer audacity and strategic genius of Hannibal pushed Rome to its limits, forcing fundamental changes in its military and political approach.
Rome's eventual triumph over Hannibal came through the strategic brilliance of Scipio Africanus.
Rather than continually fighting Hannibal in Italy, Scipio proposed taking the war to Africa, directly threatening Carthage. This bold move forced Hannibal to recall his forces to defend his homeland. At the Battle of Zama in 202 BCE, Scipio decisively defeated Hannibal, securing Rome's victory and effectively ending Carthage's aspirations for Mediterranean dominance. This monumental victory cemented Rome's status as the sole superpower of the Western Mediterranean. Despite its defeat in the Second Punic War, a resurgent Carthage continued to pose a perceived threat to some hawkish Roman senators, notably Cato the Elder, who famously concluded every speech with "Carthago delenda est," Carthage must be destroyed. This sentiment culminated in the Third Punic War, a relatively short conflict initiated by Rome in 149 BCE. 3 years later, Carthage was utterly besieged, sacked, and razed to the ground, its territory becoming the Roman province of Africa. This brutal act signified Rome's absolute and unchallengeable power. While battling Carthage, Rome simultaneously expanded eastward, engaging with the Hellenistic kingdoms that emerged from Alexander the Great's empire. Through a series of wars with Macedon, the Seleucid Empire, and various Greek city-states, Rome gradually brought the eastern Mediterranean under its sway. By the mid-2nd century BC, Greece, Macedon, and much of Anatolia were Roman provinces or client states. This conquest introduced Rome to the sophisticated art, philosophy, and sciences of the Greek world, profoundly enriching Roman culture and intellectual life. Rome's vast conquests brought immense wealth and power, but also internal strife that began to unravel the Republic. The influx of slaves and cheap grain from conquered territories devastated small farmers, leading to a massive migration to Rome. This created an impoverished urban proletariat and an increasingly wealthy elite. The traditional institutions of the Republic, designed for a city-state, struggled to govern an empire, leading to widespread corruption, social unrest, and a growing divide between the rich and the poor, challenging the very fabric of Roman society. In the late 2nd century BC, two brothers, Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus, attempted to address Rome's growing social and economic crises through radical land reforms. Tiberius, as tribune of the plebs, proposed redistributing state-owned land to the poor. His populist reforms met with fierce opposition from the Senate, leading to his assassination in 133 BCE. His brother Gaius continued the reformist cause a decade later, but also met a violent end. Their tragic fates highlighted the Republic's inability to resolve its deep-seated problems peacefully, foreshadowing further political violence. The late Republic descended further into civil strife with the rise of powerful, ambitious generals who commanded personal armies. Gaius Marius, a novus homo or new man, reformed the army by recruiting landless citizens, securing their loyalty through promises of land and plunder. This created professional armies loyal to their commanders, not the state. His rival, Lucius Cornelius Sulla, used his legions to march on Rome itself, seizing power and initiating bloody proscriptions against his enemies. This era marked a dangerous precedent, military force dictating Roman politics. Following Sulla's retirement, Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, or Pompey the Great, emerged as a dominant figure. A brilliant military commander, he achieved immense prestige through victories against pirates in the Mediterranean and Mithridates VI in the east, significantly expanding Rome's dominion. His unparalleled military success and vast wealth earned him significant popular support. However, Pompey's ambition and influence, though initially supportive of the Republic, increasingly challenged its traditional power structures, setting the stage for even greater confrontations among Rome's elite. Into this volatile environment stepped Gaius Julius Caesar. A patrician of ancient lineage but relatively modest means, Caesar cultivated popular support through lavish games and ambitious political maneuvering. His military career blossomed in Gaul, where he led successful campaigns that brought the entire territory under Roman control, securing immense wealth and the unwavering loyalty of his legions. Caesar's charisma, strategic genius, and political ambition rapidly made him a force to be reckoned with, overshadowing many of his contemporaries and forever altering Rome's trajectory. To circumvent the powerful Senate, Caesar forged an informal political alliance known as the First Triumvirate with two other influential figures, Pompey the Great and Marcus Licinius Crassus, Rome's wealthiest man.
This secret agreement allowed them to pool their resources and influence, effectively dominating Roman politics.
Caesar gained the consulship and command in Gaul, Pompey received land for his veterans and political favors, and Crassus secured financial advantages.
While powerful, this alliance was inherently unstable, built on personal ambition rather than shared ideology.
The fragile triumvirate dissolved with Crassus' death, leaving Caesar and Pompey as rivals. The Senate, fearing Caesar's growing power after his Gallic triumphs, ordered him to disband his army and return to Rome as a private citizen. In 49 BCE, Caesar famously defied this order, leading his legions across the Rubicon River, a small stream marking the boundary of his province.
His declaration, Alia I acta est, the die is cast, signaled an irreversible act of civil war against the Republic and Pompey, fundamentally changing Rome's destiny. Caesar's victory in the civil war against Pompey and his supporters left him as the undisputed master of Rome. He rapidly consolidated power, being appointed dictator perpetuo, or dictator in perpetuity, in 44 BCE. During his brief but impactful rule, Caesar initiated extensive reforms, including a revised calendar, land distribution for veterans, and public works projects. While popular with the masses, his autocratic rule and disregard for republican traditions deeply alienated many senators, who feared the complete demise of the republic and their own authority. The fears of an autocratic monarchy led a group of senators, including Brutus and Cassius, to conspire against Caesar. On the Ides of March, March 15, 44 BCE, Caesar was assassinated during a Senate meeting. The conspirators believed they were restoring the republic, but their act plunged Rome into another brutal civil war. Instead of bringing peace, Caesar's death created a power vacuum, paving the way for new ambitious figures to vie for control and ultimately accelerating the republic's final collapse, ushering in the age of emperors. Caesar's assassination did not restore the republic, instead, it ignited a fierce struggle for power among his heirs and allies. His adopted son and principal heir, Octavian, formed the Second Triumvirate with two of Caesar's most powerful generals, Mark Antony and Marcus Aemilius Lepidus. This official, legally sanctioned alliance embarked on a campaign of bloody proscriptions to eliminate their political enemies and secure their dominance, effectively ending any hopes for the Republic's revival. Their combined power ensured the conspirators were hunted down and defeated. The Second Triumvirate soon fractured. Lepidus was sidelined, leaving Octavian and Mark Antony as the dominant figures. Antony, having formed a powerful alliance and romantic relationship with Cleopatra VII of Egypt, established his base in the east. Octavian, meanwhile, consolidated his power in Rome and the west. The ideological and geographical divide escalated into propaganda warfare and eventually open conflict. Antony and Cleopatra's lavish lifestyle and perceived Eastern ambitions were effectively used by Octavian to portray them as a foreign threat to Rome. The climactic confrontation between Octavian and Antony and Cleopatra occurred at the naval battle of Actium in 31 BCE. Octavian's general, Agrippa, skillfully outmaneuvered and defeated the combined fleets of Antony and Cleopatra. This decisive victory left Octavian as the sole undisputed ruler of the Roman world. Antony and Cleopatra fled to Egypt, where they both committed suicide the following year. Actium marked the end of the Roman Republic and heralded the dawn of a new era, the Roman Empire under its first emperor, Augustus. After his victory, Octavian masterfully navigated Roman politics, careful not to openly declare himself king or dictator. Instead, he presented himself as the princeps or first citizen, restoring republican traditions while subtly accumulating immense power. In 27 BCE, the Senate bestowed upon him the title Augustus, meaning revered one. This marked the official beginning of the Roman Empire and the Principate, a system of government where the emperor held supreme authority while maintaining the facade of a republic. His rule ushered in an era of unprecedented peace and stability.
Augustus' reign initiated the Pax Romana, or Roman peace, a period of relative peace and minimal expansion that lasted for over 2 centuries.
This era of stability allowed Roman civilization to flourish.
Trade routes prospered, infrastructure like roads and aqueducts were built on an unprecedented scale, and Roman law and culture spread throughout the vast empire. Despite internal successions and occasional conflicts, the Pax Romana provided the framework for the Roman Empire to reach its zenith, consolidating its power and cultural influence across 3 continents. The first imperial dynasty, the Julio-Claudians, followed Augustus, comprising Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, and Nero. These emperors, all related to Augustus either by blood or adoption, grappled with consolidating imperial power and managing the intricate balance between emperor and senate. While some, like Tiberius and Claudius, were generally effective administrators, others, notably Caligula and Nero, became notorious for their erratic, tyrannical, and extravagant behavior. Their reigns often highlighted the inherent dangers of unchecked imperial authority and the constant intrigues within the imperial court. Nero's suicide in 68 CE, without an heir, plunged Rome into its first major imperial crisis, the year of 4 emperors. Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasian successively claimed the throne, each backed by different legions. This tumultuous period of civil war demonstrated the immense power of the army in selecting an emperor and the fragility of the imperial system without a clear succession plan. Ultimately, Vespasian emerged victorious, establishing the Flavian dynasty and restoring order after a period of intense instability and bloodshed. Vespasian, a seasoned general, founded the Flavian dynasty, which brought a much-needed period of stability to the empire.
His sons, Titus and Domitian, succeeded him.
The Flavians are best known for their ambitious building projects, most notably the Colosseum, initially known as the Flavian Amphitheater. They also expanded the empire's infrastructure and consolidated its borders. Their rule helped mend the wounds of civil war and set a precedent for military emperors, proving that capable leadership could emerge from outside the traditional Roman aristocracy. The period from 96 CE to 180 CE is often regarded as the height of the Roman Empire, ruled by the 5 good emperors, Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and Marcus Aurelius. This era was characterized by peaceful succession, often through adoption of the most capable successor rather than hereditary claims, and highly effective administration. Under their rule, the empire reached its greatest territorial extent, enjoyed immense prosperity, and achieved remarkable stability, demonstrating a golden age of Roman governance and imperial strength. Emperor Trajan, who reigned from 98 to 117 CE, personified the peak of Roman power and expansion. A Spanish-born general, he led the empire to its greatest territorial extent, conquering Dacia and expanding into Parthia. His reign was marked by extensive public works, including Trajan's Forum and Column, which famously depicts his Dacian campaigns. Trajan's leadership combined military prowess with administrative skill, ensuring prosperity and stability across a vast and diverse empire.
He truly embodied the ideal of a good emperor, revered by both contemporaries and subsequent generations.
Hadrian, Trajan's successor, 117 to 138 CE, took a different approach, focusing on consolidating and defending the empire's vast borders rather than further expansion. He is most famous for Hadrian's Wall in northern Britain, a massive defensive fortification. Hadrian tirelessly traveled the empire, personally inspecting provinces and ensuring administrative efficiency. His reign emphasized internal strength, cultural development, and maintaining peace through strong, well-defined boundaries. This shift reflected a recognition that the empire had reached its sustainable limits and now needed to protect what it had acquired. During the Pax Romana, daily life across the empire exhibited remarkable diversity yet shared common Roman characteristics. Cities were vibrant centers of commerce, politics, and culture, boasting grand public buildings, baths, and forums.
Roman engineering provided clean water through aqueducts and efficient travel via extensive road networks. Latin was the lingua franca, while Greek remained influential in the East.
Though social hierarchies were rigid, Roman citizenship offered privileges, and the sheer scale of the empire ensured a rich tapestry of local customs intertwined with pervasive Roman influence.
The Romans were unparalleled engineers, their innovations foundational to their empire's success and lasting legacy.
Their mastery of concrete allowed for construction on an unprecedented scale, from the dome of the Pantheon to massive multi-storied buildings. Aqueducts carried fresh water for miles, supplying cities and baths.
An intricate network of roads facilitated rapid troop movement, trade, and communication.
These structures, many still standing today, are testaments to Roman ingenuity and their commitment to practical solutions that supported their vast empire. Roman law, developed over centuries from the 12 tables to imperial decrees, formed the backbone of the empire's administration. It established principles of property rights, contract law, and citizenship that influenced legal systems for millennia. The Roman provincial administration was sophisticated, with governors managing taxation, justice, and order, all ultimately overseen by the emperor. This legal and administrative uniformity helped bind together diverse peoples under a single, coherent system, providing stability and order across the vast territories. The last of the 5 good emperors, Marcus Aurelius, 161 to 180 CE, was a revered Stoic philosopher and a committed emperor. His reign, though prosperous, was marred by devastating plagues and constant warfare on the frontiers. His personal reflections, recorded in Meditations, reveal a leader dedicated to duty, reason, and virtue amidst immense imperial pressures. He famously battled Germanic tribes along the Danube, embodying the ideal of the philosopher king. His death, however, ended the adoptive succession model, ushering in a period of decline and instability. The reign of Marcus Aurelius' son, Commodus, 180 to 192 CE, marked a sharp departure from the stability of his predecessors.
A cruel and erratic ruler, Commodus preferred gladiatorial combat to governance, abandoning his father's policies and plunging the empire into political instability. His assassination led to renewed civil war and signaled the beginning of the end for the Pax Romana. The era of adoptive emperors was over, replaced by a return to dynastic succession, often chosen by the military, accelerating the empire's descent into fragmentation and crisis. From 235 to 284 CE, the Roman Empire was plunged into the crisis of the 3rd century, a period of profound instability. Over 50 emperors reigned in less than 50 years, most meeting violent ends, earning them the moniker barracks emperors. The empire faced simultaneous external threats from Germanic tribes and the Sasanian Persian Empire, internal civil wars, economic collapse, and devastating plagues. This era brought Rome to the brink of total dissolution, highlighting the deep structural weaknesses now present within the imperial system. A major component of the 3rd century crisis was economic collapse. Constant warfare drained the imperial treasury, leading emperors to debase the currency by reducing the precious metal content of coins. This rampant inflation destroyed trust in the currency, crippled trade, and led to widespread economic hardship. Cities declined as people moved to rural areas for self-sufficiency. The once thriving Roman economy, a bedrock of its power, buckled under the strain of continuous conflict and financial mismanagement, further destabilizing the empire. The crisis of the 3rd century was finally brought to an end by the reforms of Emperor Diocletian, 284 to 305 CE. Recognizing the empire was too vast and complex for one man to govern effectively, he instituted the tetrarchy, or rule by 4. The empire was divided into east and west, each with an Augustus, senior emperor, and a Caesar, junior emperor. This system aimed to provide better defense and administration, and a clear succession plan. While providing temporary stability, it formalized the empire's geographical and administrative division. Despite Diocletian's attempt at orderly succession, the tetrarchy eventually collapsed into civil war. Constantine the Great emerged victorious, becoming sole emperor in 324 CE. His reign marked a pivotal moment in Roman history. He legalized Christianity, ending centuries of persecution and profoundly altering the empire's religious landscape. He also founded a new capital city, Constantinople, on the site of ancient Byzantium, strategically located at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. This new capital would eventually become the heart of the Eastern Roman Empire. Constantine's conversion to Christianity and the Edict of Milan in 313 CE transformed the religious landscape of the Roman Empire. From a persecuted minority, Christianity rapidly grew to become the dominant religion. By the end of the 4th century, under Emperor Theodosius I, it was declared the state religion. This shift had profound cultural and social implications, replacing polytheistic Roman beliefs and shaping medieval Europe. The Church's organizational structure often mirrored the imperial administration, providing a new unifying force as secular authority began to wane in the West. Constantine's decision to establish Constantinople as the new capital was a strategic masterstroke. Its location on the Bosphorus Strait made it easily defensible and ideally situated to control trade routes between East and West. It also placed the imperial court closer to the increasingly wealthy eastern provinces and the volatile Persian frontier. Built with grand forums, palaces, and churches, Constantinople quickly rivaled Roman splendor, becoming a vibrant center of Roman culture, power, and later, Orthodox Christianity. It was a new heart for a changing empire. The division initiated by Diocletian was formally cemented in 395 CE by Emperor Theodosius I, who bequeathed the empire to his two sons, Arcadius in the east and Honorius in the west. This permanent split reflected the growing administrative, cultural, and linguistic divergences between the Greek-speaking East and the Latin-speaking West. While the Western Roman Empire struggled with internal strife and barbarian incursions, the Eastern Roman Empire, later known as the Byzantine Empire, would thrive for another 1,000 years, preserving Roman traditions. The late 4th and 5th centuries witnessed massive migrations of Germanic and other barbarian tribes into Roman territory. Driven by pressure from the Huns from the east, groups like the Goths, Vandals, and Suebi sought new lands and resources within the empire's borders. These migrations were not always invasions, often involving negotiated settlements, but they placed immense strain on Rome's military and administrative capacity. The sheer scale and relentless nature of these movements gradually overwhelmed the Western Empire's ability to maintain control. A pivotal moment in the decline of the Western Roman Empire was the Battle of Adrianople in 378 CE. Emperor Valens led a large Roman army against the Visigoths, who had settled within Roman territory but were provoked into rebellion. The battle resulted in a catastrophic Roman defeat, with Emperor Valens himself killed and 2/3 of his army annihilated. This military disaster shattered the myth of Roman invincibility and demonstrated the growing superiority of barbarian cavalry over Roman infantry, leaving the empire vulnerable to further incursions. The ultimate symbol of Rome's vulnerability came in 410 CE when the Visigoths, under their king Alaric, sacked the city of Rome. Though the city was no longer the political capital, its symbolic significance was immense. For over 800 years, Rome had not been breached by a foreign enemy. The sack sent shockwaves throughout the Roman world, demonstrating that even the Eternal City was not immune to the barbarian threat. While not the end of the empire, it was a profound psychological blow, undermining Roman confidence and prestige. Further devastation came with the rise of the Huns under their feared leader, Attila. Known as the Scourge of God, Attila led devastating campaigns across Europe in the mid-5th century, extorting tribute from the Eastern Roman Empire and threatening Gaul and Italy. In 451 CE, a combined force of Romans and Visigoths managed to halt Attila at the Battle of the Catalaunian Plains, a titanic struggle. Although the Huns were repelled, their presence further destabilized the already weakened Western Empire and accelerated its fragmentation. Beyond external threats, the Western Roman Empire suffered from profound internal decay. Political instability was rampant, with emperors often puppets of powerful generals, many of whom were of barbarian origin. Economic decline led to ruralization and a weakening of the tax base. A shrinking and increasingly demoralized army struggled to defend vast borders. Furthermore, a demographic decline due to plagues and constant warfare reduced manpower. These cumulative internal weaknesses made the empire increasingly susceptible to external pressures, eroding its very foundations. The traditional date for the fall of the Western Roman Empire is 476 CE. In that year, the Germanic chieftain Odoacer deposed the child emperor Romulus Augustulus.
Odoacer did not take the title of emperor himself. Instead, he sent the imperial regalia to the Eastern Emperor Zeno in Constantinople, effectively acknowledging the Eastern Emperor's sole imperial authority. This act marked the symbolic end of Roman rule in the West, though a mosaic of barbarian kingdoms had already emerged, replacing central Roman administration with their own systems. Following 476 CE, the Western Roman Empire did not simply vanish but transformed. Various Germanic kingdoms, such as the Ostrogoths in Italy, the Visigoths in Spain, and the Franks in Gaul, arose on former Roman territory. These kingdoms often adopted elements of Roman law, administration, and even Latin language, blending with local Roman populations. The Church, too, played a crucial role in preserving Roman culture and knowledge. Though imperial rule ended, the Roman legacy continued to shape the nascent states of medieval Europe in a myriad of enduring ways. While the Western Roman Empire crumbled, the Eastern Roman, or Byzantine, Empire continued to flourish for another 1,000 years. Centered on Constantinople, it preserved Roman law, culture, and imperial traditions, developing its distinct Greek Christian identity. Its resilience in the face of numerous threats, from Persians to Arabs, ensured the survival of classical knowledge and Roman legal principles, profoundly influencing the Middle East and Eastern Europe. The Byzantine Empire stood as a testament to Rome's enduring spirit, a powerful continuation of its legacy in the East. The question of why did Rome fall is complex, with no single answer. Multiple intertwined factors contributed to the collapse of the Western Empire. We can compare the East and West. The East enjoyed greater wealth, a more defensible capital, and a more centralized government, allowing it to adapt and survive. The West, conversely, faced more severe barbarian pressures, a fragmented economy, and political instability that ultimately proved unsustainable. It was not a sudden collapse, but a gradual unraveling under overwhelming stress. The legacy of the Roman Empire is profound and omnipresent. In law, Roman principles of justice, property, contract, and citizenship formed the bedrock of many modern legal systems, particularly in civil law jurisdictions. The idea of representative government, while altered from the republic, found echoes in later political thought. Even the word republic itself is Latin. The conceptual framework for governing a vast territory, administering justice, and managing public works all derive lessons from the Roman model, influencing states for centuries. Latin, the language of Rome, endures as a vital part of its legacy. It is the direct ancestor of the Romance languages Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian, and has heavily influenced English vocabulary. Roman literature, including works by Virgil, Ovid, and Cicero, continues to be studied for its artistic merit and historical insight. The adoption of the Roman alphabet is a global phenomenon. Even today, countless scientific and legal terms are derived from Latin, linking us directly to the intellectual heritage of ancient Rome. Roman architectural and engineering innovations remain influential benchmarks. Their use of concrete, arches, and domes enabled the construction of structures of immense scale and durability. The Colosseum, Pantheon, aqueducts, and extensive road networks are celebrated today. Modern architecture frequently draws inspiration from Roman classicism, with columns, pediments, and symmetrical designs visible in public buildings worldwide. The fundamental principles of urban planning, infrastructure, and structural integrity continue to owe a debt to Roman ingenuity and practical application. Roman art and culture, though heavily influenced by the Greeks, developed its unique characteristics. Roman sculpture emphasized realism, capturing the likeness and character of individuals. Mosaics adorned villas, depicting scenes from mythology, daily life, and nature. Roman drama and rhetoric shaped performance and public speaking. This rich cultural tapestry, spread across an empire, contributed to a shared identity and laid foundations for later European artistic traditions, ensuring that the visual and performing arts of Rome continue to resonate. Our journey through the Roman Empire reveals a dynamic civilization that constantly adapted, innovated, and fought for its existence. From the legendary founding by Romulus to the sophisticated republic, and then to the vast empire under Augustus, Rome shaped much of the Western world. Its decline and fall in the West were not a simple event but a prolonged process born from a complex interplay of internal weaknesses and external pressures.
Yet, even in its fragmentation, Rome laid the cultural, legal, and political groundwork for future European societies.
The history of Rome offers invaluable lessons for understanding the rise and fall of civilizations. It teaches us about the fragility of political systems, the impact of economic inequality, the consequences of unchecked military power, and the challenges of managing vast and diverse territories. But it also speaks of human resilience, ingenuity, and the enduring quest for order and justice. The Roman story is a mirror reflecting the complexities of power, ambition, and the timeless struggle to build something that lasts.
The Roman Republic, despite its eventual collapse, left an indelible mark on political thought.
Its emphasis on civic duty, the balance of powers, and the concept of citizenship inspired later generations, from the American founding fathers to modern democratic movements. The ideal of a government by and for the people, however imperfectly realized in Rome, provided a powerful counter-narrative to monarchy and autocracy. It reminds us that even grand experiments in governance can falter, but their core principles can echo through time, shaping new societies. The Roman Empire's eventual decline can also be seen as a cautionary tale of imperial overreach and hubris.
Its vastness, while a testament to its power, also became its greatest vulnerability.
The constant need for expansion to fuel its economy, the challenges of administering diverse populations, and the strain of defending immense borders eventually surpassed its capabilities. The story of Rome reminds us that even the mightiest empires have limits, and that internal strength is as crucial as external might for long-term survival and stability. Rome was not merely a conqueror but a profound cultural synthesizer. It absorbed elements from the Etruscans, Greeks, and various conquered peoples, blending them into a unique Roman identity. Latin literature drew heavily from Greek models, Roman religion incorporated foreign deities, and its art often emulated Hellenistic forms. This capacity for assimilation and adaptation allowed Roman culture to spread and endure, enriching the empire and later shaping the cultural landscape of Europe, demonstrating the power of cultural exchange even amidst conquest. The sheer scale and sophistication of Roman infrastructure played a crucial role in binding its vast empire together.
The roads facilitated rapid troop movements, trade, and communication, essential for governance.
Aqueducts ensured urban growth and public health. Harbors and bridges connected distant regions. These engineering marvels allowed the Roman administrative and military apparatus to function efficiently for centuries. Even in ruin, they stand as monuments to a civilization that understood the profound link between physical networks and imperial power, a lesson still relevant today. From a citizen militia of the early republic to the highly professional legions of the empire, the Roman army was a force unmatched for centuries. Its discipline, organization, and innovative tactics were central to Rome's expansion and defense. Military reforms by Marius transformed it into a formidable professional force, loyal to its generals. However, this loyalty also contributed to civil wars. By the late Empire, its reliance on barbarian recruits and diminishing central authority mirrored the empire's wider decline, yet its organizational structure influenced militaries for millennia. In the later Republic and early Empire, the Roman authorities employed a strategy of bread and circuses to maintain social order and popular support. Free grain distributions provided food for the urban poor, while gladiatorial games, chariot races, and theatrical performances offered mass entertainment. While seemingly trivial, these measures were critical in placating a large, potentially volatile urban population, diverting attention from political issues and economic hardship. It highlighted the imperial government's understanding of social control and the needs of its populace. The role of women in Roman society, while generally subordinate to men, evolved over time and varied across social classes. Women could own property, inherit wealth, and conduct business, especially in the later Republic and Empire. Elite women held considerable influence within their families and through their male relatives, even if they couldn't vote or hold office. While public life remained largely a male domain, Roman women played vital roles in managing households, raising families, and contributing to the social fabric of the Eternal City. Slavery was a fundamental institution in the Roman Empire, deeply embedded in its economy and social structure. Slaves, acquired through conquest, debt, or birth, performed a vast array of labor, from agricultural work and mining to intellectual and administrative tasks. While harsh, conditions varied, and some slaves could eventually gain their freedom through manumission. The sheer number of slaves, particularly after periods of conquest, profoundly shaped Roman society, its economy, and its values, leaving a complex and often brutal legacy. Even after the fall of its western half, the idea of Rome, of a universal empire and civilization, persisted. Medieval kingdoms and later empires, from Charlemagne's Holy Roman Empire to the Tsars of Russia, consciously sought to appropriate Roman imperial titles and symbols, striving to emulate its grandeur and authority. This enduring ideal demonstrates the profound psychological and political impact Rome had, not just in its own time, but for centuries thereafter. The Eternal City became an eternal concept, a model of power and civilization. The Colosseum stands as one of the most iconic symbols of Roman power and spectacle. Built under the Flavian emperors, this massive amphitheater hosted gladiatorial contests, animal hunts, and public executions, drawing tens of thousands of spectators. It showcased Roman engineering prowess and the state's capacity for grand entertainment. More than just an arena, it reflected the Roman appreciation for communal entertainment, brutal justice, and the sheer display of imperial might, embodying both the grandeur and the often savage aspects of Roman culture. The Pantheon, originally built as a temple to all gods and later consecrated as a Christian church, is a masterpiece of Roman engineering and architecture.
Its iconic dome, with its central oculus, remained the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world for nearly 2 millennia.
The Pantheon showcases Roman mastery of materials and geometric precision, creating a space of awe and enduring beauty.
It stands as a testament to Roman innovation, a building that still inspires engineers and architects today with its structural integrity and elegant design.
The Roman Forum was the pulsating heart of ancient Rome, a vibrant marketplace, political arena, and social gathering space. Surrounded by government buildings, temples, and basilicas, it witnessed centuries of Roman history, from republican debates to imperial decrees.
Though now largely ruins, the Forum still conveys the monumental scale and complexity of Roman public life.
It was here that laws were passed, justice was administered, and citizens gathered, providing a tangible connection to the daily lives and grand ambitions of the Romans. Beyond monuments and laws, the Roman presence is woven into the very fabric of our modern world through language and names. Many cities across Europe bear names derived from Roman origins, such as London, Londinium, Paris, Lutetia Parisiorum, and Cologne, Colonia Agrippina. Our months of the year, names for planets, and countless common words are direct descendants of Latin. This linguistic legacy ensures that, even unconsciously, we utter snippets of Rome every day, a subtle yet powerful reminder of its profound and lasting influence. From a small village on 7 hills to a vast empire stretching from Britain to the Sahara, the Roman story is one of audacious ambition, relentless expansion, and profound cultural impact. It is a narrative of legendary heroes, ruthless tyrants, brilliant engineers, and countless ordinary lives lived under its immense shadow. The rise and fall of Rome is a grand drama, filled with triumphs and tragedies that continue to resonate and inform our understanding of human civilization itself.
Its journey, though ended in the West, remains an eternal epic.
As we conclude our journey through the Roman Empire, it's clear that its story is not merely confined to history books. It lives on in the foundations of our legal systems, the words we speak, the structures we admire, and the enduring questions it poses about power, governance, and human nature. Rome, in its rise and fall, offers a timeless reflection on the forces that build and dismantle civilizations. Its legacy is a constant reminder that even the grandest endeavors are ultimately shaped by the human condition, echoing through time as a testament to an empire that truly defined an era.